There's things to know about moving machines. The simplest is if you know nothing, hire a rigger. That's the simplest. Riggers charge a lot of money. Some of them are very good. Some of them are just a guy that bought a medium-sized forklift and decided he wanted to open a rigging company too. It's going to cost you money if you hire a rigger. You need some experience before you start moving a machine of any size, any weight. You need some experience with moving things. If you're going to use a forklift or a crane, I would suggest not your absolute first thing you pick or work with be a machine tool, but be a chunk of metal, pallet of junk, whatever. Get some experience lifting things, because there's knowing how something that's bigger picks on a machine, how it swings, how it moves. You can watch all the videos you want, but actually being next to it is different. Now, why I start with this machine here was this was the first one when it dawned on me. I had been in Alaska. I had my shop here. At this point, I had a 4,000-pound forklift. I had used some forklifts for loading things. I had worked with fair-sized loaders as far as hooking on the ends of the teeth. We'd hook chains around the teeth sometimes, which is a really sketchy trying to get them to hold depending on the shape of the tooth. Cables. Sometimes you weld eyes on the back of your eyes or hooks on the back of your bucket for picking things when you're using loaders. And I had my backhoe also. So I had some experience at picking things. But the big thing I didn't know, and I had bought a couple other machines on this trip, but I came across this one, and I didn't even go to look at this machine. I was looking at a turret lathe at the same place. I was looking at the turret lathe, and I actually, the day before, had bought another turret lathe from a machine shop, and he had lifting equipment. He just loaded it on the trailer for me. But the question was that really made the difference in my mind on some of this and thinking about it. How do this man that's got this in his shop, he had a rigger move it in. He had a rigger move in his turret lathe. He doesn't have any equipment there. He doesn't have anything. I don't have my stuff from Fairbanks down there. I'm in Portland, Oregon. Well, get on a phone. Was it a cell phone? I doubt it, but it might have been. It was close to the time I had a cell phone. It seems like it was. I don't know. Could have been a payphone. Probably was payphone. Most likely went on a payphone. And I start calling rental outfits. Who has what machine? And the closest one to what I could get for moving this was a 16,000-pound machine. They dropped it off. They picked it up later, and it was about $300. This was back in the 90s. So, I mean, to do that today, you're probably looking at close to $1,000, maybe more. But a rigger at that time to go pick up the two machines would have still wanted $4,000. So I was really happy with, they're going to drop off the forklift. And a lot of times people get to thinking that you need some kind of certification experience. There's generally up to 20,000 pound. Usually you can just go rent a forklift. The rental companies, some of them may be a little leery, but usually you can just rent it. Just, hello, this is me. Here's my credit card. Here's my driver's license. Bring it out. Makes a big difference. Just knowing that you can get machines when you go somewhere, that you can rent them. Get into bigger than 20,000 pounds, you might have a hard time getting something, especially on a spur of the moment. It just happened that a 16,000 pound was what I could get at that time. And we had to get the machines out. So like this machine here, the base was pretty solid. And we put some pipes underneath it, pulled it out, because it was in underneath a low overhead building, low head height. We pulled it out, and then I was able to pick it up, put it on the trailer. And it was pretty easy. How do you pick this up? You could pick it by the base and be really, really careful, but there's a lot of top heaviness. So if you're picking this from the base, I've got a shaper that I pick from the base because there's nothing good up above to pick on. So when I pick a machine like this by the base, get it up a little bit, put some blocks under it, work your way up slowly so you're not tipping it a lot, and then I actually take big C-clamps and clamp it right to the forks. I will put a clamp around the fork underneath and clamp it down so that I have extra security that it's not sliding off the fork. A lot of these machines, you will have problems from the machine moving around, and they tip over. A lot of top heaviness. This is not terrible for top heaviness, but it is somewhat. Now, a good way for picking these up is a nice strap with some softeners under each side of the overarm ram. That works pretty good for most of your horizontal mills. Vertical mills, similar. They will pick up, not sure we're the best balance on this one since we got the slaughter back there, but normally these balance fairly good right in here. You want to lock stuff down, find a good balance point. When they ship these, and that's a point too, is for shipping, when they ship a Bridgeport style mill, normally the head will be turned over so you don't have this weight up here rattling around in shipping. But it's not just a matter of, it's one thing to pick it up and move it a little ways, it's another one when you start talking about shipping also. So when you ship this, you'll turn this over, and then in between the head and the table, they usually put a little piece of wood and run the two together, so it's actually setting on itself, so things aren't rattling. You want to lock all of your ways. It's good to make sure they're pre-oiled first in case there is any movement, but also lock your ways before they go traveling so they're not sitting there rattling and wearing holes in spots. Lathes. Lathes are terrible and notorious for being flipped over. It's really common. People will come into a lathe, they'll come underneath it, go to pick it up, move it with a forklift, hit the brakes, falls right off. There is, even though this is cast iron based, there's no weight in there. It's just a little piece of cast iron in three places on the bottom. There's quite a bit of weight in the middle here for the bed and a lot of weight in the gear head. That's where your most weight is in the gear head, up high, and especially if you've got a chuck on it. The manufacturers generally have some place that they suggest that you pick this up with ropes, a lot of the books say, even for newer machines. They'll show you this 2-inch or 3-inch rope that's, yeah, that's cute. It's not what is done in most of the real world. Real world, come back behind the chuck, leave a chuck on it so you can get in here with some kind of a strap or a cable with softeners. Something that's your main lifting point most of the time. Then you come down here, you'll put another lifting point through some of the bracing in the ways, go down through, back up, and give you a second point, and you balance that out. And don't get your slings when you're doing that where you're in extreme angle, which the extreme angle might be needed for head height to be able to pick something up. You're like, I got too well. This extreme angle is going to want this strap here to break or pull too much on the back of the bed. So the normal way you would avoid that is by going up higher. But if you don't have the height to be able to lift that and do that, then you're going to need something to spread out the load. So you'd have a strong piece of beam or shaft that went here, forks say underneath it, then you can hook here, and your actual straps are going straight up and down. So that lets you get the height and still have the strength by using other pieces of material. Lathes, yes. You can also, say it's a shorter lathe, you can lock down and go around the tailstock many times for a second support. That's not bad either. Each lathe, you got to look at them a little bit different. My wire EDM, it was a real specific one. I've moved it a couple times. I don't use it. But it had specific holes put through it. If you've got the manual for the machine, look at what they say to move it. That may not be what works best for you, but it gives you some ideas. My EDM, it showed, it's a Charmills, Aggie Charmills. it showed a pipe going through in 2 places. And in fact, I think it came with pipes. I think the previous person had the pipes. I don't know if they were from the, anyway, for tubes to go through it. And then you're supposed to sling off of 4 points on those tubes, which was totally impractical. But those tubes were perfect with longer forks under each side. And I picked it up with forks and we just walk it all over the place. That was really easy. But without the manual and without those tubes, you kind of look at it, well, there's a hole here that's strong, there's all these things we need to avoid. The manual helped a lot in figuring out how to pick that. This saw, I don't remember how I rigged it exactly when we brought it in. And that's part of where I'll go with this, is things I have actually picked up. This one here, it was a loader. I know when I first, in here, we've picked it with the crane before. And I don't know exactly where in the structure we went to. I would probably hook cautiously and see where it picks up good. I know that I had a fork on each side of it at the yard, auction yard, when I picked it up. And we were all a little scared of where to hook it and how to pick it up. I'm not sure what I did. It did not have any of this lower structure on it, underneath it. And that's part of why this lower structure now, in case we do need to move it again, has got these little extensions everywhere. You can actually pick the feeder and the lathe, everything as a unit now with shackles that'll go in the ends. And it's got a little extra support beyond the tank here, back here, little legs, but it will pick up fine without the support for that. This one. Moved it with the 988, I know that. I did not, this was like this when I got it. That would have been from a previous fork accident from somebody else. And yeah, we would have used a strap around there, probably a chain in all reality. We probably would have used a chain around the headstock, chain coming through here. Or not. No, I'm fibbing, trying to remember and fibbing. That would have been the lathe that came out of this position. Actually, this one here had been crated and had supports around it. And I actually slid this in on the crate, and it hasn't moved since we dismantled the crate from around it. It actually had a good shipping crate that had supports to it so that we could fork it. We put it in here in the crate and then dismantled the crate because it had been crated for long-term storage. And then I stored it for a year roughly after I bought it before I moved it in. And it's been here since. Yeah, we haven't moved it since the crate went away. So yes, I would be fibbing about what we did on that. But if we do pick it up again, we're going to come back behind the chuck and somewhere else. And yeah. It's talking about the, a heat treat furnace was another one. That's a nothing, not really a machine tool, but this one we have moved. Being cautious, putting forks underneath here. And it's a little bit top heavy, but it works out. I've actually had a couple of those, and we have new elements ordered. They're on their way. Pipe threaders are not generally too worrisome, but they're the same thing. If you pick them down low, they will easily flip over just like a lathe. Besides the pipes, I'm going to eventually walk out to the box car. I guess we don't really even need to, but there's little skates, and I've got skates which you use for, well, there's, yeah, no, I don't need to. There's skates you use for going underneath the machines. If you don't have, like if you're, like first time I used them was on a big 1/2-inch plate, 1/2 or 3/4, I think it was 3/4 inch rated plate shear. Anyway, plate shear that I was helping put in down in the States. And they had rented these skates that just had a series of little rollers that go around either in a chain, or some of them have heavy rollers. The common, I forget what brand they are, but I've got the regular brand name ones. They actually came to me from a friend, brought and gave them to me. And I've loaned them out to several of my friends since then. But they have a bunch of rollers that go around with chains hooking them together so that they will roll along the floor. The problem with that is, how do you get them under there? So when you start looking at how to get them underneath there, because even your low profile rollers, and how do you keep them there too? That's the problem. A lot of times they will start to fall off. So you really have to monitor as you're doing things, same as you do with a piece of pipe underneath the base on a mill. You've got to keep up with making sure that you're on the floor. You might come over a break in the concrete and your roller falls away. And you're not going to just fill that in with sand and make it work. You're going to need to put a piece of plate in there. You're going to need to go along, maybe jack that corner up while you get it moved a little bit, put the roller back in. You got to keep working on it. These railroad jacks, these are a type of jack with a little foot underneath there. Besides the top part for lifting things up, you got the foot at the bottom, and that is easier. You still got to get up a little bit to start with, but that will help you get under a lot of equipment that you pick up real easy. They make these in a hydraulic version also. I've got some out in outside storage that I think are 30 ton. These are 15 ton. And they're hydraulic, and they have the little foot on the bottom of them. And I have never used the hydraulic ones that I've got. I just saw them at a garage sale, and I said they need to go home with me because it's a good place for them. So, moving things yet. We'll walk on through the shop. We'll see what else we got that might bring up some ideas on moving things. A radial arm drill press. Radial arm drill press, this has actually got a little bit of a story about moving things. And that was before I got the machine, and I didn't realize it, of course, until after I got it. It had been moved with a forklift underneath this way. And you can't see, I don't remember where it is, but you could see it was definitely a fork dented part of this that we honed out, we stoned it out. And then it would move the full travel. When I first got this machine, it would not move full travel. I don't remember where, but it was dented. Also, when I brought this in, we had brought it in and we had used a chain around parts of it there, some blocking under here and chains, and we had it picked up high. And just as I was setting it down, the chain broke. So don't ever get underneath this stuff. I mean, even when you think things are good, we thought it was a good enough chain. It had to do with the binding, the angle. Straps get cut sometimes. They look good, but they're on a sharper edge than you think. Don't ever trust any of this. It all falls down. Don't let it fall on you. It's not worth it. Just slow down a little bit, look at it. It broke just right at the end. It was setting down, and it was just when we were getting ready to unhook. And I've seen that a couple of times. I've actually, right as we were getting done with a job, I've had rigging break. And yeah, it keeps you aware. Don't trust it. Even the best of it, just don't trust it. This one was interesting. Yes, this was interesting. And that's part of what you think about with moving machines too. Sometimes you don't move it as a whole machine. This one had already been taken apart when I got it. This, the main table here, table and saddle assembly, it was off of it, and from the pictures, I'd seen the pictures before, I knew that it was off of it, so I took 2 trailers and 2 pickups down to get it. And I did not know how heavy the other part that was left was, and we used the second trailer, took this, and the footstock was on the second trailer. But the main trailer, we put the base and the column, the headstock. And it was, anyway, sometimes you do have to break them down to move them. And with the right machine, this could have moved as all one piece. It wouldn't hurt to have this table on there as far as actually moving it, but for whatever reason, when they pulled it out, and it was needed when we went to load it, because just the base alone, I thought they were going to go over with their 644 and pick it up, and they said, no, we need 2 of them, which when we sat it down on my pickup trailer, had me a little concerned, and especially once the pickup suspension went bam to the ground on my 1-ton. Okay, so we moved it a little further back on the axles. And I got it here. When I really knew that it was heavier than I thought it was when the 988 brought it in and the back wheels were bouncing off the ground when we brought it into the shop, actually, before we put the table back on. So, and that's a big thing too, is you can guess how much these machines weigh, talk to other people, but you don't know till you pick it up a lot of times. So guess higher. Get a bigger machine. You know, I was picking up a 4,500 pound mill. Not a problem having a 16,000 pound forklift to pick it up. That was fine. It was a good size. Had they given me a 8,000 pound, I would have probably gone with that. But had they given me a 4,000, that would have been a mistake. You know, get bigger if you have a choice. CNCs. We're not moving any of them right now. I only have one left in here. And if somebody has knowledge on the Siemens common controller, it's a Model D. I forget the letters, the numbers. It's a real common one. 580, 480. I think 480D, something close to that, if that rings your bell. Anyway, if you're familiar with that, it's a IMCO, nice machine. I'd like to get it going again. The battery ran down. I'm at a loss. You know, the machine was working great till battery ran down. I just did not use it for 9 months. I should have been out here every 3 months or more. If we do it again, we will put on a permanent power supply so we don't have to worry about the batteries. But we're not there. And I'm in Alaska. We can buy you a plane ticket, but please know this machine, this stuff, if you're going to come up and help me. Anyway, moving CNCs, a lot of times you got all kinds of sheet metal and stuff to worry about. And you got to get down to the basic machine, and they can be a real problem. This one wasn't too bad to get in with the forklift, and we've got a 15,000 pound cat that works pretty good at moving things around. I don't know if this one, if it would move around with the 8,000 pound machine or not. I really don't know how heavy it is. It's pretty solid. I think we used the bigger cat when we moved it. Oh, it doesn't seem like that much information about stuff here. But yeah. Oh, this one here. I guess there's a little bit of a story on this one, which we're putting this one back together. It's from 2 lathes. The reason why we have this bed, there's 2 reasons for this bed over the other bed that we started with on this. One, this bed has less wear on it to start with, but the other one had hard ways, and I was figuring we would regrind the hard ways. Really more work than this lathe is worth doing. It will be a decent lathe when we're done, but that would have been too much work. This is the older version of bed with soft ways. But the big thing that happened was when we were unloading this from the truck, it was on. Even knowing, we tipped it off. I tipped it off. I hit the brakes a little quick. She came off, it was not rigged up high, and it broke the bed where the lathe headstock bolts onto it. And so the bed was actually broken. Could have been brazed, but no. Braze it, regrind it, no. I had same on a different lathe, and we were putting the 2 together, steel handles against steel handles and things off of the other lathe anyway. We just used the other lathe. Ideally would be to put a bigger, longer bed on it while you're doing this, but yeah. It needs to work. There's jobs for it. Just lots of stuff gets caught up. Don't be afraid to move things. Just be cautious. Don't be afraid to move it. Don't be afraid to rent the forklift. Don't be afraid to rent the crane. I have rough terrain cranes out here. Before my experience with cranes, I'd love to have a 75-ton would be about right. Over that, I'd probably start getting nervous of my rigging skills and things, but I still would want a bigger one would be good too. In fact, there's a job that people were talking to me about where we definitely need a bigger, lots of cranes. But we would hire crane people for that though. But yeah, I got a little 18 ton I'm using. Before that I had a 15 ton. I still have the 15 ton. It needs a new engine put in it. But previous to that, I had worked with little baby crane trucks, and I had my semi-truck wrecker, had a little bit of other experience, but the day I decided to get a crane, I just bought one. And if you can get someone to rent you one, one of the things, if you're using a rough terrain crane, when you get there, put the outriggers out, put the outriggers down. Don't extend the boom first. Don't go swinging the boom around. Just keep it safe before you move it. Boom gets sucked in, gets put, near down. You may have to put it down. Watch out for cables, overhead cables, power lines, other things. Survey the place you're working around. Don't work around cables that are close by. Don't do that. But you may have to drive under them. A lot of places you're going to work with, you're going to have to go under cables, get the boom down, drive under them, get it sucked up. And then when you get to where you're going to be picking things, outriggers go out, they go down. Outriggers go out, they go down. Before you turn the boom to the side, before you lift it up, before you extend it, yes, it can go out a certain amount on the wheels. But unless you are a crane person and you do that all the time, don't make that potential mistake. And it really sunk home to me when the crane operator, that was a crane operator his whole life, that was what he did, told me that. He told me that when you just do it that way, you won't have problems. When you get somewhere, you can still overlift them. You can still pick it up on the outriggers and spill the crane over. You can still do dumb things, but it stops a lot of the stupidity. And there was a crane that was near new, just a couple years previous to him telling me that. And so that was pretty firm in my mind too. The crane had been pulled in by a crane operator. They had the boom out, and it was out forward on the wheels, extended most of the way, and they had a kid pressure washing it, young man, pressure washing it, cleaning it up, climbing around it. He decided to start the crane up, turn the boom 90 degrees. Rolled the crane over, ruined it, $1.25 million machine. It cost a whole lot for the guys that were cleaning that to have that guy put the boom in the side position and ruin a near new machine. So don't do that. Especially if you're renting it, but even if you own it, don't do that. And you'll have fun with them though. They're good fun. They're good fun. They're fun to ride on too, Just don't get caught by anybody that's an official, because you're not supposed to do that.